Hi, this is Kevin Pawlak with Prince William County's Historic Preservation Division. Thanks once again for tuning into our YouTube channel. I'm standing here at Bristoe Station with the historic tracks of the Orange and Alexandria Railroad behind me. As many of you are, I'm sure, aware, the Civil War heavily affected the community here at Bristoe Station from 1861 to 1865. Homes were turned into headquarters, hospitals, and huts. Fences were turned into firewood, and farmyards were turned into graveyards, as there were two major battles that were fought here in August of 1862 and October of 1863. So the Civil War brought plenty of change here to the landscape at Bristoe Station. But perhaps one of the greatest changes that the people of Bristoe witnessed during the American Civil War was the changing status of African Americans. By 1860, Prince William County was home to 2,356 enslaved men, women, and children. However, as the Civil War developed and it continued to affect this area, the status of those enslaved men, women, and children changed dramatically. When Union forces first arrived here at Bristoe Station in the spring of 1862, enslaved individuals from the countryside began to flee towards the Union lines, believing that that would give them their freedom. In some cases, it did, and a soldier from the 21st New York Infantry on April 15th of 1862 wrote home to his local newspaper that that very day, about 15 enslaved individuals with sticks and bundles slung over their shoulders moved up the tracks of the Orange and Alexandria Railroad and reached Union lines here. As that 21st New York infantry soldier wrote, he said he estimated it was about $15,000 worth of human property that had just arrived within Union lines. Another Union soldier who was camped here at Bristoe Station in 1862 was Rufus Dawes of the 6th Wisconsin. He had a camp servant who was serving him throughout the war. His name was Jake, but Dawes wrote in his memoirs after the war that it was here at Bristoe Station that his camp servant even ran away from the Union Army to seek freedom in Baltimore and other places further north. Once the Civil War was transformed from a war of not just preserving the Union, but also a war of abolishing slavery throughout the United States, more and more slaves continued following the tracks of the Orange and Alexandria Railroad to places like Bristoe Station, where there was a heavy Union Army presence, where they could find their freedom. And if they didn't find it here at Bristoe, they could continue moving further up the line to places like Alexandria and Washington, D.C., where large contraband camps were established. By April of 1864, slavery had changed dramatically, and the view of it had changed dramatically here in Prince William County, because by that month, just before one of the final major campaigns in the Eastern Theater of the War kicked off, about 3,000 African Americans came here to Bristoe Station. But they were not men who were seeking freedom. Instead, they were soldiers that had enlisted in the United States Army, members of the United States Colored Troops. And so the entire, almost the same number of enslaved population here in Prince William County at the beginning of the war was now here at Bristoe Station. However, as I mentioned, they were not enslaved no longer. Instead, they were wearing blue Union uniforms. They had gold eagles on their buttons, and they were armed with rifles from the United States government. It was a dramatic change that Bristoe Station witnessed in those 4 years of American Civil War. So I mentioned the landscape was completely changed, fences and houses torn down, trees cut down. But ultimately, perhaps the greatest change was the status of African Americans here in Prince William County and throughout the rest of the American South, going from enslaved to becoming free, of course, that becoming finalized with the passage of the 13th Amendment in 1865. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll continue surfing through our channel and checking out many of the other videos that we have, not just for Black History Month here this year, but throughout the rest of the year, providing different stories and different takes on the very great history of Prince William County.